Happy Youth Day to the youth of South Africa. Happy Youth Day to the non youth of South Africa. Happy Youth Day to the world, I guess. Welcome to today's episode. It's not really sure how this is going to turn out. It's just me really sharing my thoughts on just how things have gone and how we should proceed with things as the youth of South Africa. I think I have an important message. Maybe it might not sound important to some of you, but I think that for those of you who care, it will be important because it is important. Firstly, I'd like to pay homage, homage. Firstly, I'd like to pay respect to the youth of 1976, the youth that fought for Afrikaans to not be the medium of communication in schools, the youth that gave their lives. I understand that all of them gave their lives. Just some of them were not taken. I think most of them were not taken, but all of them literally gave their lives. When someone goes out to do something like that, they're understanding that I could die. There's this big monstrous vehicles. There's this big. I mean, these are youth that we're talking about. So there's these big white men, and we've seen how big our African South Africans are. So there's these big white men with big guns and big dogs and just big everything, and we're just little. Well, they were just little, and they were going out there to say, "We're going to stand up and say no." And they understood that I am giving my life for this because I do not want the upcoming generation to have to go through this the same way I have gone through this so far. And I just like to pay my respect, mourn those that have lost that we've lost. Condolences to the families, but we are better off today as a nation, as the youth of South Africa, in large part because of that, and we appreciate that. In in contrast to that, what we have today is a bit different. I think today, as the youth of South Africa, we find ourselves in a very pivotal point, turning point, where for the past 30 years, either you were still very young or you don't even exist yet. But that is what being a youth today means. That when in 1994 we finally got to vote as South Africans, as Black South Africans, you were either not able to vote or you're just non-existent as yet. And life has progressed through. At that time, the youth of that time had fought for us, and the youth at that certain time were able to now vote so that we can be able to live better. And where we are today is a result of that, the result of what the youth of that day, and yes, of course, the older people as well, but mostly what the youth had fought for us to be where we are today. I'd like us to just take some time to reflect and look at the way things are and question ourselves and ask ourselves, is this where we think we're supposed to be? Is this heading in a direction that we think we're supposed to go? Are we pleased with the country that has been built thus far? And are we pleased with the country that we seem to be building going forward, not only for ourselves, but for those that will come after us, for those that we have already brought into this world? Are we building a good world? In his long walk to freedom, Nelson Mandela said, and this rings in my mind so much. It stays in my mind a lot because I think it is something that has been lost. We have lost the essence of it. But I'm paraphrasing, but what he said is speaking on, us getting freedom and them having liberated South Africa and them having done all they've done to get us to where we are, that this being the freedom that we now have, or the victory that we got, this does not mean that we now all get to drive off in Benzes and expensive cars and live in huge mansions. The fight still exists. The road is still long. The war is yet to be won. Of course, those are not the words that he said, but that is just the essence of it. That is what I got from this line, from this message. And I think we've lost that essence. I think if you look at how the preceding generation is living, if you look at how the state of the country is, if you look at how the state of infrastructure is, we can clearly see that the peers or the guys that Nelson Mandela was talking to did not really understand it. They've messed it up. They're really going out driving off in Benzes. They're really going out living in mansions. And the rest of us are suffering from the plight of load shedding, are suffering from crime rates that are flipping off the roof, that we're suffering from citizens, young citizens who do not know how to work with their hands, who do not know how to take care of themselves. Is this what we're fighting for? We hear fighting with citizens who do not own the economy. Look at the Kasi economy, look at the spaza shops, you look at the trades, plumbing, building, welding, a lot of these things. We are not the ones doing most of them. We are not the ones who are representing the working class, representing the business class, representing the economy of this country. And I wonder, is this the sort of trajectory we want to continue on? I ask, is this the sort of future that we foresee for our successors? Successors. I think it's time we take a stand. I think it's time we reevaluate. In 1976, these guys, obviously, they didn't just decide on that one day that, yeah, today we just, this is it. They decided over a long time because over a long time, they got frustrated with the system. They got frustrated with the treatment. They got frustrated with their lives and their future prospects. I wonder if today, are we happy with our future prospects? Are we happy with the treatment? Are we happy with our current life? I look around and I see what the youth is interested in. I see what we're learning from the internet. I see what we're building to become. I'm not happy. I'm not pleased. I'm not excited. I'm a very positive person. I'm a very optimistic person, as they say. But what I'm seeing now, what I'm hearing, what I'm even at home, my sisters, my brothers, some of the things that I hear them interested in, my cousins, whatever, the things I hear them interested in, the things I hear them talking about, people just don't care. And I wonder, do you guys realize what we are building? You go on the street and you're driving, you're scared that your car might be stolen. You're scared that someone might smash your window and try to grab something inside there. You're scared that even if they do any of that, they could just hijack you and kidnap you and take you wherever they take you. If you're a girl, they could just take you and rape you. We live in a place where we have the freedom to move around, but essentially we don't, because moving around means risking your life. How different is that from moving around having to have a dome pass? Because essentially you're moving around and you could lose your life. Now, is that the life that we want to live going forward? Is that the life that we want for our kids? We have to plan our cooking, we have to plan our bathing, we have to plan a lot of things that have to happen in the house because people are messing up our infrastructure and trying to push whatever agendas they're trying to push, so that we think that, I'm not going to get into that, but essentially we don't have a good proper supply of electricity. And it's not because we don't know how to make electricity, it's not because we're incompetent, it's just because there are certain people, very few people at that, who are deciding that we don't give a hoot. We couldn't care less. We're just going to take whatever money we take, we're just going to destroy whatever infrastructure we destroy, and we're going to go out there and live our best lives, and our kids are going to go to the best schools, and we are going to live in the best houses. And if this thing breaks, or when this thing breaks, we are sorted, we have what we want, we have what we need. We have policemen who are supposed to be protecting us. I mean, the fact that we have so many policemen in the first place is a bit of an embarrassment, but whatever. But now we have so many policemen, most of which don't really care about the policing itself. They're there mainly to enrich themselves. And the young ones are watching. You're driving around with your kid, 10 years old, and he sees the behaviors. He sees that bribe that you're giving the guy. He sees the treatment that the guy gives you. And he understands that to be the norm. He understands that to be life. That is the youth of tomorrow. And that is the life that we are teaching them. We look at the celebrities. This recent thing with a celebrity was dressed very inappropriately. And I think that we've lost this the essence of it. I mean, I understand we have the freedom. I understand we have our rights. That is perfect. That is great. But with great power comes great responsibility. And with every right comes a responsibility. I think this is something they taught us in primary or whatever. But whatever right you have, there's a responsibility that you have as well. I have a right to drive a car. I can drive it. I can do that. I have a responsibility to obey the laws of the road. I'm not gonna go on the road and driving facing oncoming traffic. I don't have that right. It's my responsibility to stick to the right side of the road, well, the left side, but the correct side of the road, and to observe observe the rules of the road and to obey them. It is as simple as that. Me being free does not mean that I now get to do whatever reckless thing I want to do. If I am someone of influence, I need to understand that maybe the people of the past don't look down or up to me, but the people of tomorrow do. Now, what sort of future am I curating when I do the things that I do? Because I am now in a position of influence. I am now a Batman. I am now a Superman. People who are going to look up to me, young boys who are trying to change the world, are going to look up to me. What sort of behavior do I have to uphold? What sort of things do I have to promote? And if you're going to be out there promoting nudity, essentially you're promoting a youth of girls that are just going to not respect their bodies. They're going to be wanting to go out there nude and all that stuff. And what of the boys? They then start to have less respect for the female body. They start to have less respect for females in general. And what sort of predators are you creating in that? And that predator trying to be able to live that lifestyle where they can afford to just get any girl they want, get them to be naked. What do they then need to do? Because we all know that a decent job takes you time to get there. And you want to do that real quick. You want to do that now. So then what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to bribe. You're going to have to be corrupt. You're going to have to do all these things. And then we sit here and wonder, why do we have load shedding? Why do we not have our potholes fixed? Why are people dying in certain areas because of poor water quality? It is because of these things. They all correlate. It's like, I think they call it the butterfly effect, but let me not get into that because I don't want to lie about this. I don't know what it is. But other actions that are taken in other places, it might just seem like it's just you living your life, just you expressing your rights, just you dressing the way that you want to dress. But what does it say to the next person? And what action does it lead that next person to do? We need to start building stuff. I mean, I'm sharing this here on a platform that is not ours. And when I say not ours, I don't mean like it belongs to Mazibugo or it belongs to Chilwane. It simply belongs to some white guy in another continent. Yeah, of course, it's a publicly traded company, but I tell you, the average owner of that stock is not a young black person. Certainly not a young black person from South Africa or even Africa. So we're out here living our lives on platforms that we don't even own. At any point, the owners of these can decide, I'm just going to turn off the tap. I'm just going to close the taps on these guys. I don't want them on this platform anymore. And that's the life we'd be living. All of it would be gone. So I wonder, are we building anything? Are we thinking about that? We're moving into an age of artificial intelligence. Are we taking part in that? The data that is used to train large language models, which is the data on which artificial intelligence is used, is taught, the data on which the machine learning algorithms is trained in order to create the artificial intelligence? Are we the ones creating that data for ourselves, for us, by us? We now allowing people across the world to be setting data and then bringing us something that we are going to have to use to move into the future. This thing does not speak to us. It does not speak to our cultural preferences. It does not speak to our principles. And this is the thing that is going to help usher us into the future. It does not sound like that's the right thing we need to be doing. It doesn't sound to me like it's going to uphold our values. It doesn't sound to me like it's going to be upholding our biases. Because, of course, all people have biases. We as Africans should have biases that favor us. If we are going to bring into our systems things that have biases that definitely do not favor us, what world is that going to create for us? Are we sure that's what we want to do? Want to bring in a super intelligent creature, being, whatever we call it, into our space? Is that really the future that we see ourselves living in? And of course, I understand most people are not going to care. Most people just want to buy those expensive cars, buy those expensive clothes, go having drinks with girls, sleeping around with girls. And I guess to an extent, that's fine. Even when the guys were fighting for apartheid to end back then, I think there were so many other people who were like, "Nah, guys, just chill. You know what? It's gonna fall off. It's gonna just get over. It's just let them be, man. These white guys are gonna kill you." And they sat. But I'm thankful for those guys who did not decide to sit down. I'm thankful for those guys who did not decide to just be with their families and just live their life. But I'm asking you today, if which team you want to be playing for? The team that's just going to sit down and let things happen to us, or the team that is going to take a stand, take the sacrifice, take the punishment, sacrifice all the fun, all the things you could be doing, all the time you could be spending with your family. And I'm not saying don't spend time with your families. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is be a part of something. Help build the country. Help build the country in the right direction. Yes, it's probably okay to be there and sit there in your comfort of your home and be a coward. I'm not trying to provoke anyone or anything. But essentially, a lot of us, by not going out and doing something, we're just being cowards because we want to do something, but we're scared to go out there and do something. We want to say something, but we're scared to say something. But ask yourself, what are we creating? What are we building? What am I contributing? 30 years ago, our future was determined. Today, we're living this future. Is this the future that they hope for? Is this the future that we would have wanted them to hope for? And then we should ask ourselves, 30 years from now, what future do we want to see? What do we want to see having been built? What do we want to build? What sovereignty do we want to have? Do we want to keep on relying on companies from all over the world to be having our data and to be storing our information and for us to be communicating through? Or do we want to build our own infrastructure, do it perfectly, do it great quality, build our own operating systems, curate our software that it serves us very well? Is that not what you want to do? And then ask yourself what you're willing to do to build that. 30 years is a long time, but 30 years does start from one day. So, what are you going to be doing today? What are you going to be doing tomorrow? What will you be doing in the next 5 years? And how is that adding or taking away from the future of this country, from the future of your children? I know a lot of you don't want to have children. That's a topic for another day. But what future are you building? What world are you creating for the youth of tomorrow? Thank you so much for watching. Wow. I mean, do wash, but I'm just saying thank you for watching. Happy Youth Day. I do love you all. I do love South Africa. And I am pledging to do my part to helping make this country better. It's in the hands of us as the youth to ensure that the future is a better future. Thank you.